What up? It's Jack, aka Just a Cunt here, and today I wanted to talk about what I believe to be the pound for pound nightmare matchup for each and every UFC champion. Now, the only rules of this video is going to be that I'm not going to repeat anyone. So I'm not going to put Ilia Topuria as everyone's nightmare matchup and sick them on him like a fucking guard dog. Alright? Not going to do that. I'm going through each and every champion in each and every UFC division that matters, and then picking who I believe would be the hardest fight for the champion, but I can use any fighter in any division, of course sizing them up and down as needed. There's going to be some grain of salt you're going to have to put in this video just by, obviously a bantamweight's going to move differently than a heavyweight. There's going to be some things here and there, but this video is for fun, so let me know what you guys say below. Nonetheless, let's get into it. Starting off with Alexandre Pantoja, the flyweight champion of the world, and for his nightmare matchup, I actually gave him Ilia Topuria. Now, Pantoja is a hard one to match up with, as he is a double threat, and his jiu-jitsu ability, I think, is very interesting against certain people like Merab, or even guys like Islam. I think could be interesting. There's a couple different guys you could put on here. You could put in Islam, you can put a Merab, you can do that, but I decided to go with Ilia because I think if you're going to involve yourselves to grappling Pantoja, it's always going to be problems, so I think I prefer someone that's going to avoid it. And I think Ilia is going to be handed a golden ticket of a chin with Pantoja running at him literally with his hands low, where Ilia is going to be fighting someone where I think they're both roughly average size for their respective divisions. Maybe Pantoja would be a little bit bigger than Ilia, but I think there'll be comparable height ways in this hypothetical if you were to size down Ilia a little bit. And I think Ilia, with his boxing, with his ability to fight in the pocket, and with Alejandro's very big wide hooks, I think with his takedown defense, with Ilia having great jiu-jitsu, I think he's going to be able to. And I think the body shots are going to be a big difference in this fight, as Alejandro is someone that will just keep his hands up very high just because he wants to get in there and create contact. But I think Ilia is going to be able to land devastating body shots. I don't think there's too much in explain here. I don't think this is too crazy, but I think Ilia Topuria is Alejandro Pantoja's nightmare matchup. Moving on to Merab, I actually gave him Aljamain Sterling. Merab is someone I had trouble with, as besides Ilia, there's not a lot of guys that I could just be like, oh, Merab's going to have a lot of things to worry about. So I wanted him to actually fight a grappler with good jiu-jitsu that can actually give him problems on the ground. As Alejandro Pantoja, Aljamain Sterling, Charles Oliveira, these are guys that I think can do really good against someone like Merab, who doesn't have the same grappling ability in terms of Islam, in terms of his jiu-jitsu doesn't seem as good. He's been put in different positions. And particularly with Aljamain, I think his back take, his leg locks are going to be very difficult for Merab, as while yes, Merab is going to push a crazy pace, and as the fight goes on, he should be able to land better on Aljamain. I think Aljamain, the second he takes his back, can win a round off that, and he has leg locks. He has certain things that I think can hurt Merab. He has good guillotines. He can fight off his back. He can control. And on the feet, where guys like Oliveira and Pantoja may struggle with a guy like Merab, I think Aljamain, at least in the early rounds, can do really good with his long-range striking. Looking in the Cejudo fight, his ability to fight off the cage, fight off the back foot, stay safe, and not try to finish Merab. Guys like O'Malley needed to land big shots, needed to try and drop and hurt Merab. Where Aljamain, he could take a round just by taking his back. He can, just range at him on the feet and kind of frustrate Merab. Now, I do think Aljamain Sterling's cardio is going to be troublesome in this fight. As well, he doesn't have bad cardio. He can go 5 rounds. It's one thing to go 5 rounds with Henry Cejudo in a tit-for-tat fight than it is to go fucking with Merab hard for 5 rounds. That's a difficult thing. So I think the submission threat, I think his style of grappling, he is someone that can do good off his back take, his leg locks, rangy striking. I think it's all in all a very hard fight for Merab, that I do think Merab can win. I still think it's going to be a hard fight no matter what. So I actually would be slightly favoring Aljamain Sterling potentially in this fight. But moving on to featherweight, we got Volkanovski. Now this is going to be the first controversial one. Sean Brady. Y'all know me. I'm a big Sean Brady guy. I think that Volkanovski, if he were to fight someone like Sean Brady, he's going to have trouble. And the reason why I say this, not because Volk wouldn't necessarily just defend the grappling and then just outstrike Brady on the feet, which is a possibility. Volkanovski's kind of a hard guy to make a nightmare matchup for, besides just throwing Islam and Ilya at him. I kind of want to do something interesting. And looking at Volkanovski's fights with guys like Islam, is that he was able to do good in the grappling exchanges, defend the takedowns, but when Islam took his back, he was able to control him. I think while Volk, and a lot of Australians are like this with great takedown defense, is that yes, they're very good at defending the initial takedowns, scrambling, getting back up. When it gets to pure jiu-jitsu, with a guy like Sean Brady who beat Craig Jones in a grappling match, the only restriction being no leg, just no heel hooks, I believe, or no leg locks, which I don't see Volk going for. I think if you size down Sean Brady or size up Volkanovski, that Brady's going to be able to come at Volk, create some sort of contact. He's going to trouble to get to Volk just because Volk's going to do good with the footwork. But if Volkanovski wants to establish his dominance, he's going to come in. And I think the second he even touches Brady, where he doesn't have a whole lot of power, I think it's going to be hard for him to knock out someone like Sean. I think as soon as he gets him down, it's going to be trouble for Volk, because Volk's not going to have faced anyone that has the raw submission offense that Brady has. And while yes, Islam is a better wrestler, and I think he's going to have a better time defending Sean Brady's takedowns, the second he gets it to the ground, I think there's a lot of problems for Volkanovski. I think he can get his back taken. I think he can get controlled. I think on the feet too, Brady does a good job of pressuring guys to defense, where Volkanovski will go back to, just to create some sort of contact. Volk does like to do some good work in the clinch. He likes to do leg kicks where I think Brady can catch him, take him down, or trip him out in the clinch. I think with pressure control, Brady is going to stick to a fucking game plan. I think his submission threat is great. I think this is a fight where Volkanovski is not going to have the wrestling ability that he usually has as an option in other fights, where he's just going to have to stick and move for 5 rounds straight, in a fight where the floor is a lot lower. So maybe a little bit controversial, but I think Sean Brady would be a very difficult fight for someone like Volkanovski. Moving on to lightweight. Ilia Topuria, nightmare matchup is Alex Pereira. Now there's a couple guys I wanted to put here, but the thing that I think with Ilia is that's a little bit overrated about him is just he does have great grappling. He can take people down. He can use it as a threat to make the difference in a competitive fight. But when looking at fights like Jai Herbert, even Josh Emmett, Ilia is a great Greco-Roman grappler, can get big throws, do big takedowns, but he struggles to really control people on the ground, and his submission threat isn't really that high. Against someone like Yusuf Zalal, early fights where he did a very grappling-heavy game plan, he didn't submit people really. He more so used it to either continue control, to win positions, but people are consistently able to get up, and Alex Pereira defended every takedown from Magomed. Now, if Ilia comes in with the right game plan of being very grappling focused, I think he can make Alex very hesitant. But I think if he keeps it as a pure kickboxing match, he's going to struggle with Alex. As Alex, who is big for his division, coming down to lightweight for Ilia, he's probably going to be closer to like a 5'11" if we were to, roughly size these guys up. I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure the average height for lightweight is probably like 5'9", 5'10". Alex probably 1 or 2 inches taller than average. He's probably 5'11"-ish, 6 foot, tall and lanky. And I think the leg kicks, I think he's going to be able to stay on the outside of Ilia. And I think he's going to give Ilia, for once in his career really, someone who can threaten him with power, but also has like dynamic striking, as opposed to like a Josh Emmett, who yes is very powerful, but Ilia can kind of just stand in front of and just box with. So he's going to have to worry about his leg getting chopped up. He's going to have to worry about head kicks. He's going to have to worry about shots to the body and knees to the body. I think Ilia does have a great chance, as his boxing is really good against someone like Alex, who can struggle with straight shots, doesn't have the best boxing defense, kind of defends like he does in Wood and Glory with big boxing glove and puts his hands up. So I do think Ilia can knock out Alex, but I think this would be a very good fight where Ilia is going to have to stay very safe, try to counter Alex on the kicks, and if his leg gets chopped up and he took a lot of kicks from Volk. Volk was able to kick him. Now it's different between Volk and Alex, because Volk isn't going to debilitate you with two leg kicks like Alex would. But I do think this is something where Ilya's going to have to struggle with the kicks, struggle with the head kicks, struggle with dynamic striking, and isn't going to have a clear advantage on the feet in terms of power or finishing ability, where Alex can snatch a shot out of nowhere. And if he dodges one of Ilya's punches and counters him with a left hook, he can flatline Ilya, or at least he can very badly hurt him. So I think Alex, with his improved takedown defense, great counters, power, and leg kicks, would give a lot of problems to someone like Ilya. But moving on to welterweight, we got JDM, and I think Khamzat Chimaev is JDM's nightmare matchup. Now, there's a couple people I wanted to think about who to put here. In terms of striking, it was difficult because JDM's just so well-rounded. He is a great boxer, can fight off the back foot, the front foot, has great leg kicks, great defense. Someone like a Yair Rodriguez, Israel Adesanya could be interesting, but I think their boxing isn't enough for JDM to not be able to crowd them. So when I'm looking at that Belal fight, he did a really good job of scrambling out of position with Belal, who's in a fantastic wrestler, but Belal doesn't have the jiu-jitsu offense to shred in JDM, and when he was able to get JDM to sit still, he was able to bust up his eye, land great ground and pound. So I think someone like Khamzat, who is going to almost negate a lot of scrambles, or at least his shot's so fast, and he's basically like an inch off the ground, that JDM's going to be forced to sprawl. So JDM's either going to have to try and pressure Khamzat and come at him, or Khamzat's going to be able to get close to him, get the body lock, go for his takedown from there, go take his back. Or if he's against the fence, where the only real way to defend Khamzat's takedowns generally are going to be a heavy sprawl, I don't know if JDM is going to be able to really get Khamzat to back up early enough, where as soon as he gets him on the ground, I think JDM's going to be able to scramble a lot, similar to a Robert Whittaker, but he's going to be losing the fight. He's not going to be taking control of the fight until the third or fourth and fifth round, where then I think JDM actually has a great shot of knocking out Khamzat. But in the early rounds, it's going to be very difficult. And I want to see how Khamzat does against Dricus, since I think if Khamzat wants to last 5 rounds, even if he is able to control and get a 10-8 in the first 2 rounds, or the first round and dominate second, I don't think his cardio is so bad that he can't still snag a takedown. I think Khamzat against Usman took him down all 3 rounds. I think he learned from that fight as well. I think he's been training smarter. So I think someone like JDM, also JDM has dealt with Basil Hafez with the Darce choke. He's been close to getting choked out like that before. And I think someone with a little bit more submission threats and ground and pound can take the Belal game plan and kind of take it to a different level, where ignore the striking, don't try and strike with JDM, just go straight for the wrestling. I think Khamzat could be a big threat to someone like JDM. Moving on to middleweight, we got DDP versus Islam. Now, this fight has been talked about as happening before. Now, I do think if Islam just comes up and fights DDP, that's going to be a hard fight. But that's more so due to just the raw size disadvantage and DDP's bully mindset. DDP, if you give him the size advantage, his game's going to be elevated more. He's going to be able to, chromosome max out, triple it up, and come forward and start swinging. But if they are the same size, if you scale Islam up, make him a good 6'1", 6'2", a little bit more meat on his bones, I think this is a hard fight for DDP. DDP has good jiu-jitsu, good offensive jiu-jitsu as well, decent wrestling, has good volume and striking, and he is good, he's very well rounded, very good with the kicks, he mixes up the game well, goes to the body, goes up top, very unorthodox. Where against Islam is someone to where he's going to be able to defend all of DDP's takedowns, and I think he's just going to be able to kickbox him. I think he's someone that can capitalize on sloppy striking, can capitalize on sloppy grappling. If DDP just tries to get up or tries to force a get up, he's going to get darced, he's going to get guillotined. Islam is so good at taking advantage of someone's sloppiness and finishing them. Against Volk, he was very lazy with how he was defending the head kick, not using his other hand to parry it. I think someone like Islam can use kicks on DDP And he's not going to go to war as much as someone like Adesanya. I think he can stick to the game plan. Just has to worry about the big winging shots. If he keeps his defense up, where he has very good defense, he's also going to be able to use defenses that other people can't. Against Poirier, you saw how much he was dipping and moving his head. Not a lot of guys can do that because A, they're going to get kicked, or they're going to get taken down. Where against DDP, I don't think DDP head kick is so scary that he won't be able to do this. Where he's going to be able to dip out his shot, use his 1-2, stay safe, and he should be able to consistently take down DDP and control him. And while it may be difficult for him to submit him, and I think DDP is going to be able to get up, DDP is always going to be at risk of getting submitted, that his grappling is going to be neutralized, where now he's going to be stuck on the feet with Islam, who can go hard for 5 rounds. I think that's a very hard fight for DDP if you give Islam a similar, like you don't, Islam doesn't have a big size disadvantage. But moving on to 205, we got Big Enk. I think he's going to get mogged by JDM. Now, this was a hard one. Magomad's very, very well-rounded, and he's very fast, he's very powerful, he can kind of take the fight where he wants to. But where he's going to struggle with JDM is that he's going to fight a better boxer. He's going to fight a better boxer. He's going to fight someone who very defensively sound, who doesn't mind being pressured back, but could also pressure forward, who can counter Magomed, and can defend all of Magomed's takedowns. I think if Alex Pereira is able to, that Magomed, without the striking as being such a fear, as he's going to be very hard-pressed to knock out a guy like JDM, then now he's going to face someone that can out-scramble him, that can get up, that can use knees, fight in the clinch very well, land good sneaky shots. And if I think with JDM, you need to have a submission threat to hold him down and to keep him there. If you're just wrestling, just trying to go wrestle for wrestle, he's going to be able to out-scramble a lot of guys, defend the initial takedown. You need to have rear naked chokes, Kimuras, ground and pound. Where I think that's where Magomed's biggest weakness is he's not a great finisher on the ground. He can control people for sure, but I think on the feet, where he's not going to find nearly the same success as he would against other guys, he's going to have to now handle, or he's gonna have to deal with Magomed and just, or deal with JDM and just outbox him or out kickbox him, which is gonna be a hard press because as the fight goes on, JDM's gonna be coming forward. He has that sneaky calf kick. He has a decent head kick. He's gonna be coming forward and count out. I think he can out counter Magomed, and I think he can out volume him to a comfortable decision. Moving on to the main event, the heavyweight division, the big boys. We got Big Tom. Who I got against Big Tom? I got Peter Pan Yan. Woo! Is this not funny? It's not hilarious to think about the idea of Peter Yan just fucking doing his, like, keeping his hands up, pressuring Aspinall, defending shots, probably getting rocked in the first round. He's gonna drop the first round to Aspinall no matter what. Doesn't matter. He'll drop the first round to fucking CM Punk somehow. But I think Aspinall, who's very dangerous everywhere, big and strong, great boxing. I think against Yan though, his 1-2 I think can work good on Yan. His guard is one that kind of leaves things up in the middle. That's where Sean O'Malley was able to land good shots on Peter Yan. I think Tom Aspinall is going to. He's not going to have the same shock factor against Yan. Now, he probably, if this is heavyweight, he should be able to drop and hurt Yan for sure. But I think that defensively, Yan is going to be able to anticipate that. He's going to have body kicks. He's going to have treeps to offset Aspinall's game and rhythm. And as the fight goes on, I think Aspinall's striking has become more one-dimensional, and I think Aspinall or Jan's going to have to worry about Aspinall fighting on the back foot. Aspinall does have a good leg kick. He will spam those a lot, but he relies on a handful of tools, where he's going to have to deal with the pace of Peter Yan, who's going to be coming forward, who's going to be landing uppercuts, who's going to be defensively able to defend all of Aspinall's, or at least most of his takedowns. And he's had guys like Aljamain Sterling on his back and not have to worry about submitting. I think it's hard for me to believe that Aspinall is going to be so much better offensively that he can deal with that. Where now Peter Yan is going to be able to mix up the game, fight every aspect of the game to an elite level. One of the most well-rounded fighters in the sport, in history of the sport, as well as Peter Yan's fight IQ. I think this is going to be a time where it's actually going to favor him having to deal with a fast starter, play it safe, download data, and then pick apart Tom as the fight goes on, where I think he can get a very dominant decision here, where I think he's just going to be able to outskill Aspinall and beat him anywhere the fight goes. Nonetheless, Hope you guys had fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this. What do you guys think are the pound for pound nightmare matchups? There's some guys you can switch around here for sure. Ilya is kind of an X factor where his game is really good against a lot of people if you were to size him up. Same thing with Islam, you know, pound for pound number 2, of course. Islam's so well-rounded. Ilya, I try to do some more unique names and try to do the basic ones, but nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys had fun, and yeah, have a good one.